Hello, welcome to Back to School Night. My name is Mark Higgins, and if you are watching this video, there is probably a really good chance that I am your kid's world geography teacher. If that doesn't sound right, well, you can continue watching if you want. I'll try to make it interesting for you. Let's get started. So I wanted to structure my Back to School Night presentation in the same way that I structure my lessons to give you a feel for how I teach. So I use flip charts like this every day for every one of my lessons. It's projected on the board in my classroom, and then the students who are at home can see it because I share my screen just like I'm doing right now. At the top is always a focus question that gives the kids some idea of what we're going to learn each day. For today, our focus question is, who is my kid's social studies teacher? What is my kid supposed to be learning? And how am I going to know if they learned it? And then below the focus question is always the steps that we're going to take to get there. An agenda, so to speak. So you can see what it is we're going to be doing in this short video, hopefully short video. And then there's always a picture of my dogs as well, because I love my dogs, except one day a week when we do Project Pet Share and focus on a student in class's pet. If you want to know more about Project Pet Share, ask your kid. All right, let us move on to the first part of the presentation, which is, who's this Mr. Higgins guy? I am a lifelong New Englander. I was born in Westerly, Rhode Island back in 1975. And my parents lived in Stonington. That's where I grew up. After graduating from Stonington High School, I moved to Boston, where I got my teaching degree, and then I got a graduate degree, and then I came back to Stonington, Connecticut, and got hired by the Waterford Public School System, which is awesome. I come from a long line of teachers. Teaching is in my blood. My mom was a teacher. She taught at West Broad Street School in Stonington, 2nd grade, and then she opened up her own nursery school. There she is in her own nursery school. That's my mom right there. That's my grandfather dressed as Santa Claus, and that is some kid. I have no idea who that kid is. I even attended my mom's nursery school. There's a picture of me from way back when. My grandmother was also a teacher. She taught at Bryant College back right after World War I. I don't actually have a picture of my grandmother teaching, but you get the idea. What else about me? I teach 7th and 8th grade, but I have taught 6th grade, so I really understand the trajectory that students are supposed to be on in terms of social studies when they're at Clark Lane. I'm the curriculum leader, which is another way of saying I'm the department head. I used to run a couple of after-school programs, the GSA, the Comic Book Club, but due to the pandemic, those things are kind of on hold right now. I love my dogs, as you can see right here. There's Rory, there's LP, there's me. I've been teaching for 21 years, which seems hard to believe. I don't know if you can see on the camera, but I look really young, like super young. I also am one of the people who do this. I love the holidays. I love Christmas, and I do this to my yard. Yep, I'm one of those people. I'm also a plant lover. My classroom used to be full of plants, oops, but it no longer is because of the pandemic. This is a picture of my car when I was loading up my plants last March. It took me 2 carloads. This is one of the classrooms that I teach in, but you know, the reality is this is how I teach this year. This is my cart, and I move from room to room wherever your kids are located for the duration of the school day, and I roll in on this, and then I do my thing. Speaking of my thing, this is what I teach. So world geography is the course content. So we focus on, this is really the main essential question. How does where you live affect how you live? We begin the year by studying the idea of perspective. What is perspective? What are the things that shape your perspective? That's where we're at right now. We start with some optical illusions before moving on to real culture, like this picture that I'm moving around up here. After that, we get into another study of economic systems, building upon what they did in 6th grade, only diving a little bit deeper. So kids learn what the 3 main economic systems are. They learn about the role of scarcity in the economy, and we do this through a lot of simulations and readings. It's a lot of fun. I try to make economics interesting because it's not very interesting to me. Systems of government is another thing that we do, which builds upon 6th grade. We go a little bit deeper again. So we look at different actual systems of government like oligarchy, democracy, dictatorships, theocracies. And again, we have like a simulation that we do in class that makes it really fun. After kids have a good understanding of what they need to see the world, then we move into 3 different regions. The 3 regions that they study in 7th grade are Africa, the Middle East, and East Asia. In Africa, we start by talking about perception versus reality, which brings us back to perspective that we learned about earlier. In the Middle East, we talk about oil and conflict, scarcity. We go back to economics. We also have a little unit on terrorism. And then in East Asia, we look at totalitarian versus democratic governments with using like North and South Korea as a model. There's much more in the curriculum than I just said, but I only have a few minutes, so I'm going to keep rolling. If you have questions, you can always email me or ask in some other way. It's not all about content, though, in social studies. Really, we look at content as a vehicle for helping students develop really important skills that they need and can use in other classes and also in real life. Cognitive skills like critical thinking, evaluating and analyzing different topics, and of course, developing an argument and a counter argument. I know your kids are adolescents, and I'm sorry that I'm helping them become better at arguing, like they need the help, right? Literacy skills, sometimes I feel like a language arts teacher because I teach a lot of reading comprehension focused on nonfiction text, how to find the main idea, different strategies kids can use, finding and using evidence to support their ideas, and looking at a source and identifying author bias if it does exist, and if a source is credible or reliable. In the information age that we're in with, you know, the concept of fake news, this is an incredibly important skill that when I was a kid, we didn't have to learn. But now kids really do have to learn this, given the enormous amount of information they have access to. Written expression is the other thing that I do a lot of teaching on, how to become better at explaining, describing, so on and so forth. I grade based on a point system. So every assignment that I give is worth a predetermined number of points. The points are determined based on the challenge of the assignment, how difficult it is, the time it takes to complete the assignment, and the importance of the skill that the assignment is focused on or based on. The higher the point value for an assignment, the bigger the impact it's going to have on your grade. So for example, we just did this written response on the secret to New Zealand's success. We started the year talking about COVID-19 and looking at how different countries have tried to protect their citizens from the virus. We spent a couple of weeks, so it was a lengthy amount of time. The challenge for the assignment was moderate. Writing is tough for middle school kids, they don't love it. But it was only, I think it was only 1 paragraph for them this time. And the level of importance is high. You know, in my opinion, writing is a really important skill. So that's how I came to 60 points. That's how much that was worth, which is a fairly heavy assignment. Grades in my class represent just a student's academic ability. I don't take off points for late grades because I want the grade to be, again, a reflection of what a kid can do academically. So, you know, if a kid gets an A on a writing assignment, but they turned it in late and I mark it as a C, then when you look at them, you think they're a C writer, but they're not, they're an A writer. This doesn't mean that I don't think work habits are important. I definitely report out on work habits, but I do it differently than combining it with a grade, which I think just makes things messy and unclear. I use the I write a lot of feedback in the score comment section of PowerSchool. Let me show you an example. So this is typical type of feedback that I would leave on an assignment. There's 3 categories: work ethic. So I do report out on that. Here's an example. Student did not use class time wisely on 9/18, but they were back on task on 9/21. Student did not make revisions that I suggested. The assignment was turned in 1 day late. So there will be information that you can see, that your kid can see, that I can see, that talks about your child's work ethic, their work habits. I give the kids a lot of choice. Meaning I create different versions of the assignment that are sometimes more difficult or sometimes less difficult. And sometimes I give the kids some guidance with that, but there will always be some information about what your kid chose to do. Last but not least, in fact, probably most importantly, some feedback on their actual performance. So instead of me just saying, hey, they got a C, that's average, I'm going to tell you why they got the C, what they did well and what they did not do well. So they demonstrated a basic understanding. They provided an accurate claim. Their evidence was relevant, but their evidence wasn't very detailed. They didn't provide a citation. Their explanations were clear but brief. A kid can use this to go back and revise their assignment. They're going to know, all right, I did this well, I didn't do this well, now I know what I need to work on. I am very liberal when it comes to the retake revise policy. I think the school policy is 75 or lower. You can retake or revise. In my classroom, there is no limit. If you get a B+ and you really are striving for that A, you can use the feedback I left, revise your assignment, and turn it in. That is true for almost every assignment in my class. To find this information on PowerSchool, you just log on, click on my class, and then the assignments will come up, and then you click on this view thing right here. And after you do that, it's going to give you 2 pieces of information: a description of the assignment, and then a description of how your kid actually did, individualized feedback. Technology. Oh, here we go. I don't know about you, but I love technology, and it's become my new best friend. Here's some pictures that kind of represent how I feel about technology. Here we go. Yeah. Oh, yes. Technology is so great. I love it. Unfortunately, or fortunately, we're forced to use technology now. So my Google Classroom is an incredibly important part of what I do. All of my assignments are posted there. All the resources kids need are posted there. Articles, links to articles, all the class notes and slides. So let me show you how this works, even though I've gone over time a little bit. If you're still there, thank you. I think I probably would have stopped watching by now. All right, so here we go. Let's get to our Google Classroom. There it is right there. Most everything is under the classwork section. So you click on here, and as you can see, I organize it by date. So just the other day, Tuesday, here are the slides from the class. So a kid can click on this and they can see everything that we did in class that day, the slide presentation, what the focus question was, what my lesson was, how to do the assignment, examples of model assignments, all of those would be in the slides. And then the assignments are there too, and any other thing that a kid is going to need. And again, it's all organized by date. Okay, guys, if you made it to the end of this video, bravo. I'm really impressed because it's a long one. Sorry. If you ever have any questions, please don't hesitate to shoot me an email or give me a call at school. I'd be happy to set up a Zoom meeting with you if you'd rather talk face-to-face. And hopefully by the end of this year, things will be back to normal. Okay, guys, I hope you have a good night, and I'm looking forward to a good year with your kids.